And we're back. Let's see some of that Galente action, guys.
Alright, this is Kill 2. I'm with Angel Hun. We have a match between Ivy League and Solar Fleet on the field right now. And Ivy League has brought 2 Golems, a Vulture, a Basilisk, 2 Rooks, 3 Thrashers, and a Courser.
And from Solar Fleet, we have an Oneros, a Retribution, Curse, 2 Daredevils, and 3 Vindicators.
Yeah, pretty fantastic. I think what everyone wants to see in the tournament is Vindicators, and we rarely get to because they're just not very practical. But everything we were just talking about during the break, we'll have to see if it is true here, if being limited by range so heavily is something you really can't work around in the tournament. They got a decent setup to go up against, really. I mean, they have the Destroyers to worry about for tackle, but once they get those down, they should be fairly mobile, so we'll have to see how it goes.
I'd wager that if those trio Vindicators get in range of the Ivy League team, that Basilisk and the Rooks are going to be decimated. I'm hoping these are 8-gun Vindicators, as they were recently changed in Dominion. A huge amount of damage potential from them. Looking at, even on Tranquility, some of the EFT fits would be upwards of 1,000 DPS. These are really impressive ships. The first... It looks like First Blood may go towards Eve University. Seem to be focusing fire on the Daredevil, but have switched to the Solar Fleet Curse.
And if anyone's concerned about the lack of damage, that's partly due to the fact they started about 50k apart, but now they've closed range. The Vindicator's moving around easily. They're sitting right on top of the the Ivy League team now. Ivy League running a cap transfer chain. There's remote cap transfer going on between the Golems and the Basilisk, so they're definitely going to try and run a pretty substantial tank, and a lot of damage starting to show up now.
I'm seeing a lot of shield maintenance drones from the Solar Fleet team orbiting the Daredevil, seeing a decent amount of shield and armor repair going on within the Solar Fleet team, and First Blood goes to Solar Fleet, annihilating the Ivy League Thrasher. So only a few more tacklers to deal with before these Vindicators get total roam of this arena.
Yeah, although it's not looking to me like that's their big problem. I'm looking at a pair of the Vindicators right now that are sitting on top of one of the Ivy League Golems, and they're definitely having some trouble with locks. I mean, everyone's running ECCM, but still the blasters are on for a minute and then off for a little while. It's a little interesting they're shooting a Golem. I suppose that might be the best choice. This is one of those situations where you could shoot the Basilisk, but it's probably going to be a little harder to break than one of the Golems if you can keep the Basilisk out of the situation.
Oh, looks like they've got a lock. They have decimated the first Golem way deep into structure now. Probably 2 to 3 volleys have put the Golem to dead. Wow, that was really impressive. These Vindicators are really, really nice ships. So far, Solar Fleet is having a perfect day. Both 3 Destroyers and a Golem are now down for Ivy League. The Vindicators, like most Marauders, suffering from notoriously low sensor strength. The Rooks really should be able to lock them out, but it doesn't look like that's the case. Not sure why Solar Fleet seems to be splitting damage. The Rook for Ivy League taking some damage, with the Golem taking heavy shield damage.
I mean, the one thing that makes the Vindicator really sets it apart from the Megatron and other Galent turret battleships is that extra mid that it gets. So it is able to field enough ECCM to make up for any sensor strength deficiency it might have, even though it's not like a Marauder where it's super low. And yeah, I mean, as this Ivy League team gets worn down, this Rook getting really low now, and one of the Golems as well, getting into armor, they're just going to have an easier and easier time of it. Their Oneros is getting fairly low, Solar Fleet's Oneros, which is kind of surprising to me. Really, Ivy League really low on DPS in this match. Their Golems are cruise fit. Most of the rest of their ships are support, so I guess they were hoping to win mostly based on their tank and on their E-War, but as we're seeing as that second Golem drops, that's probably not going to happen.
And my apologies to the people listening on the stream. The Vindicator is not a Marauder, and it does not suffer from that sensor strength penalty, and actually is one of the faster faction battleships out there next to the Macarial. Looks like a complete decimation of Ivy League by Solar Fleet. These Vindicators were able to close range relatively quickly, able to compensate for the lack of damage coming from Ivy League and just rip them apart.
Yeah, this is real strong for Solar Fleet right here. One thing that's cool about bringing the Vindicators, even though I think it's a big risk and I think that it's hard to do, is that there's no way a team like Ivy League would expect that. They're coming into this match expecting ECM to be able to cover them and expecting not to run into such a brutal battleship base setup. I would think, you're really not going to be good if you have something like 3 Vindicators able to get a lock and able to sit right on top of you. So they're just going to take a minute now to catch up to that Vulture, which it looks like they're starting to, and once they do, it shouldn't take too long.
This is Vulture's shields are down. I expect it to die very, very quickly in an impressive explosion. Vindicators showing up for their lack of Galente brethren. It's a Serpentis faction battleship, mostly favoring the Galente side, especially towards the weapons, and they have been really, really impressive. That Oniros was barely hanging on, but with the damage coming out from the Vindicators, able to really save their Oniros. With the webs from the Vindicators, once they catch up with you, you're going to die.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to me this Oniros is so low. I don't know if it was kind of like a passive bait thing that it was planning to just run around and take damage. It seems weird that it's not full HP, but anyway, Vulture does go down. Awesome job to Solar Fleet. Way to bring the sweet ships in and do a good job with them.
Yeah, definitely, guys. We just saw the Vindicators come in and do exactly what we talked about them needing to do. Let's talk more about Vindicators, but let's take a quick break. We have a 1720 Eve match. It's Manifest Destiny versus Razor Alliance, but until then, you can enjoy the beautiful view of the Jita undock point. We'll be back on audio in about 10 minutes.